The millionaire burst into the room and froze when he perceived his twins curled against the maid's body on his bed, sleeping as though they had finally found peace following months of apprehension. His mouth opened, but no sound emerged. For a moment, he was immobilized. These were the same boys who attacked every nanny, the identical boys who screamed until their voices faltered, the very boys who would not even allow him to hold them. But here they were, lying with their heads on Maya's arm, their tiny hands gripping her shirt, breathing softly as if they were safe for the first time. "What is this?" Ethan whispered, advancing slowly. "What are they doing on my bed with you?" Maya did not awaken. Her face appeared weary, drained, akin to someone who had contended with a protracted battle in the darkness. The twins merely drew nearer to her, one resting his cheek on her shoulder, the other clutching her sleeve as if he feared someone might pull her away. Ethan's voice escalated, breaking. "Maya, wake up. Tell me what transpired. Why are my sons only calm with you? Why?" Maya opened her eyes slowly, momentarily confused, then startled upon seeing Ethan standing over them. Before she could react, the younger twin whimpered and reached for her again, desperate even in his sleep. Ethan's heart constricted. "Maya," he stated quietly yet sharply, "my boys have never slept like this. Not since their mother passed away. Every nanny fled, every helper resigned. Even doctors could not reach them. But you, a maid, they cling to you as if their entire existence hinges upon you." Maya gazed down at the slumbering boys, her eyes welling with tears. She attempted to conceal her emotions. "Sir, please do not awaken them," she murmured. "They cried for hours last night. They cried until they could not draw breath. They required someone to hold them." Ethan regarded her as if he were observing a secret he was never intended to discover. "What did you say to them?" he inquired. "What did you do that no one else could?" Maya shook her head gradually. "I did not say anything, sir. I only remained." Ethan experienced a sharp ache in his chest. "Remained?" he echoed. "Are you suggesting they sleep like this because you stayed with them?" Maya wiped a tear with the back of her hand. "Your sons are not wild, sir. They are lonely. They are frightened. They are crying for someone who will not depart." Ethan stepped back, shaking his head, his breath unsteady. "And they believe that someone is you," he whispered. Maya gently pressed her hand on one boy's back. "Because when a child loses a mother, sir, they search for the nearest heartbeat that feels like hers." Ethan felt his knees weaken. The twins did not select her. They recognized her, and for the very first time since their mother's demise, Ethan comprehended something terrifying and beautiful simultaneously. His twins were not broken. They were grieving, and Maya was the sole individual who perceived their sorrow. Before we delve into the narrative, please ensure you subscribe, like the video, and enable your notifications. Your encouragement aids this channel in its growth and sustains our efforts so we can present you with more poignant stories such as this one. Now relax and listen attentively, because what unfolds in this story will deeply move you. The room remained hushed after that truth settled. A silence so profound that Ethan felt it within his chest. He stood there, motionless, observing his twins cling to Maya as if she possessed something he had forgotten how to bestow. Their small bodies gently rose and fell on the bed, their cheeks still damp, their hands holding her clothes with quiet longing. Nothing about the moment made sense to him, yet everything about it shattered him in a place he had kept sealed for years. Maya sat there with her back against the headboard, weary eyes half open, her hands resting on the boys as if she had been holding them for an extensive period. She appeared serene, but Ethan could discern the fatigue concealed in her expression. It was not the weariness of someone who labored diligently. It was the exhaustion of someone who bore pain silently and carried more than she ought to. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Maya, tell me what transpired tonight." She looked up slowly. Her voice was soft, cautious, as though she hesitated to disturb the boys even with her words. "Sir, they awoke crying," she stated. "They called for their mother. Then they called for you. Then they cried again because they believed no one heard them. When I entered, they were trembling. They asked if I could stay until the trembling ceased." Ethan looked down at his hands. He possessed no answer, no justification, no explanation for why he never perceived them the way she did. "Why did they permit you to hold them?" he inquired quietly. "They never allow anyone close. They push people away. They fight. They scream." Maya lowered her gaze to the twins. One shifted in his sleep and nestled closer to her stomach. She placed her hand on his back, comforting him instinctively. "They were not pushing people away," she articulated. "They were repelling fear, but the fear was too overwhelming. When I sat beside them, they reached for me. They held my hand as if attempting to prevent themselves from falling." Ethan felt a sharp ache in his throat. He sat on the edge of the bed, facing her, yet maintaining a modest distance. "I was unaware," he whispered. Maya nodded gently. "They do not wish for you to witness them in this state," she conveyed. "They believe you already bear too much." Ethan lowered his head. The weight of her words bore heavily upon him. He recalled the nights he passed their room and assumed the quiet signified they were asleep. He remembered mornings when they sat at the table with vacant expressions, moving food around their plates. He remembered their silence following their mother's funeral, the manner their small hands trembled when people embraced them. And he remembered how swiftly he retreated back to work, believing distance would aid him in forgetting. But children do not forget in the same way adults do. They hold pain as one holds breath. "Did they confide anything to you?" Ethan asked, maintaining a steady voice. "Anything they could not tell me?" Maya appeared hesitant, but she spoke with deliberation. "They expressed that they feel alone, sir," she shared. "Even when the house is full, they stated the rooms feel excessively large. They conveyed that the nights seem longer now. They confessed they are apprehensive of losing anyone else." Ethan closed his eyes. He sensed the room shifting around him. "They believe people will depart," he commented quietly. "Yes," Maya replied. "They are convinced everyone leaves. Their mother departed. The nannies departed. Anyone who remained near them for a brief period departed. So now they hold on to the first individual who provided them a stable place to rest." He looked at her gradually. "And that individual is you." Maya exhaled, her voice trembling slightly. "They simply needed someone who would not withdraw their hand when they cried," she stated. "I remained. That is all." Ethan shook his head. "It cannot be that uncomplicated." Maya brushed the hair away from the forehead of the elder twin. "Sometimes it is," she whispered. "Sometimes children merely require one steadfast heart to remind them they are still secure. Tonight, they clung to me because they feared their mother would not enter. They cried until their bodies ached. I assured them I would remain. They believed me." The assertion struck something deep within him. He observed his sons again, truly observed them. Not as misbehaving children, not as children who made matters difficult, but as children who were silently perishing. Their small fingers tightened every time Maya shifted. Their breaths settled only when she touched them. "Maya," he said softly, the question a struggle to articulate. "Why do you comprehend them so profoundly?" For a moment, she did not respond. She looked down at her hands, then at the boys, and her voice fell into a slow, quiet tone. "Because I understand the kind of fear that keeps you awake at night," she articulated. "I know what it feels like when someone departs and the world no longer feels secure. I comprehend the kind of silence that inflicts pain. They experience what I once felt. Ethan stared at her, realizing she was not speaking from imagination. She was speaking from a wound she had endured for years. He wished to inquire further, but he perceived the sadness in her eyes and refrained. The moment was too delicate. The boys were too peaceful. Maya was too fatigued. He could not shatter the quiet with questions that belonged to a different era. Instead, he posed one inquiry, the one that troubled him the most. "Maya," he stated slowly, "why did they sleep here on my bed?" Maya glanced at the blanket beneath her. "They said your room carries the scent of their mother's perfume," she responded. "They stated it feels close to her. They miss her, sir. They miss her profoundly." Ethan felt everything within him disintegrate. He had been residing in a house filled with shadows. Yet he never perceived the darkness his children navigated each night. He worked. He paid bills. He moved through grief in his own manner. But he never paused to consider what their sorrow sounded like. And now, the sole individual who heard their grief was the maid he scarcely noticed upon her arrival. He sat there in silence, feeling the burden of his failure and the quiet miracle unfolding before him. His twins were grieving, and Maya was the only one who remained long enough to hear their hearts cry out. Morning light slowly entered the room, settling upon the faces of the sleeping twins. Maya had not moved significantly during the night, her back stiff from sitting upright, her arms numb from cradling the boys. Yet, she remained still because she did not wish to disrupt the peace they had finally discovered. Ethan remained at the edge of the bed, observing them in silence, attempting to comprehend how everything in his house had transformed overnight. The boys breathed softly, their small hands still resting on Maya's arm. She gently brushed one boy's cheek, careful not to awaken him. When she lifted her eyes, she found Ethan still observing her. His face appeared weary, but not in the same manner as hers. His weariness stemmed from confusion, guilt, and apprehension. Fear that he had squandered too much time without noticing what was directly before him. "They will awaken momentarily," Maya whispered. "I should rise before they perceive my presence." Ethan shook his head. "Refrain from moving just yet," he advised gently. "Allow them to awaken at their own pace." Maya nodded and cast her gaze upon them once more. Her heart melted. Their mother had once cradled them in a similar fashion. She possessed no recollection of that woman, yet she could discern the affection that still resided within these boys. Pain embeds itself within a child in an ineluctable manner. After a few minutes, the elder twin stirred subtly. His eyes opened slowly, disoriented by the luminosity. He then observed Maya and pressed his face against her arm again. "You remained?" he inquired softly. "Yes," she responded quietly. "I stayed." He closed his eyes once more, evidently relieved. The younger twin roused next, rubbing his face with one hand, then extending the other towards Maya. She held his hand loosely, and he relaxed again. Ethan observed this entire scene with a heavy heart. "Boys," he stated softly, "come here for a moment." They did not move. They merely held onto Maya with increased firmness. Ethan sensed the palpable sting of their apprehension. He exhibited no anger, but the internal ache intensified. "Do not be concerned," he declared swiftly. "I am not going to take her away. I merely desire to converse with you." The elder twin slowly sat up, still clutching Maya's garment. "Promise," he requested, his voice subdued. "I give you my word," Ethan affirmed. "She is not departing." The boy carefully released his hold, his gaze still fixed upon Ethan as if requiring confirmation. He moved closer to his father, settling onto his lap. The younger one followed suit, leaning against Ethan's chest with a degree of reservation. Ethan encircled them with his arms, uncertain whether to speak or maintain silence. He held them tenderly, apprehensive of disrupting the moment. "You frightened me last night," he admitted. "I was unaware you were experiencing such distress." The boys remained silent. They averted their eyes, as if articulating their sorrow might reanimate it. Maya rose from the bed with deliberate slowness. Her legs trembled slightly, but she regained her equilibrium. She intended to afford them personal space, thus she moved towards the door. "Do not go far," the younger twin stated abruptly, alarm creeping into his voice. "I shall be just outside," Mia replied softly. "I am not departing the premises." Only then did he exhibit signs of relaxation. Ethan witnessed the apprehension in their eyes as she exited. When the door closed gently, he turned his attention back to his sons. "Convey to me your feelings," he requested, his voice hushed. The elder twin clutched his father's shirt tightly. "We miss Mama," he whispered. "During the night, the rooms feel frigid. We attempt to sleep, yet we perceive her voice. Subsequently, we are unable to draw breath." Ethan's heart ached profoundly. He lifted the boy onto his lap, holding him more closely. "You may confide these matters to me," he urged. The younger one looked up. "You weep in solitude," he murmured. "We occasionally hear you, so we also weep alone." Those words impacted Ethan more acutely than anticipated. He had shed tears in his study on numerous occasions, believing the boys to be asleep. He had never conceived that they could hear him through the walls. Children observe silence with greater acuity than sound. "I offer my apologies," he whispered. "I should have spent more time with you. I should have been more attentive." They leaned against him, offering no verbal response. Following a prolonged period of quietude, Ethan posed the inquiry he had been hesitant to voice. "Why do you place such profound trust in Ma?" he asked with gentle sincerity. The elder twin raised his eyes slowly. "She holds our hands when we tremble," he whispered. "She sits on the floor when we cry. She does not look away." The younger one added, "She feels sorrowful, much like us. We can perceive it." Ethan closed his eyes. They were correct. Maya harbored a quiet melancholy, one she diligently endeavored to conceal. However, children invariably recognize the type of pain that mirrors their own. He bestowed gentle kisses upon their heads. "I comprehend," he stated. When the boys eventually disengaged from his embrace, Ethan instructed them to prepare for breakfast. They hesitated, casting glances towards the door once more. Ethan realized they were ascertaining Maya's continued proximity.